I'm glad you're all here with me today. So I am going to go ahead here before we waste too much time with me gabbing. I am going to turn the camera down here and then we will get started on our project. Hi, Becky. Okay. Let's see how I do here. Woo, sorry. Bright light, bright light. So I think that's where I want it. Let me just lift it up a smidge. A little bit more this way. Yes. Sorry, guys. I hate this that I just have one camera, but that is the breaks. So I'm just going to share this a couple places and then we're going to get started here. Everybody out there, if you want to share for us as well, we always appreciate that. If you can share the broadcast with your friends, don't forget to do that for us. And there you go. Okay, so as I said, today we're going to be using Soft Flex. This is pretty exciting, guys. It was so fun to work with, too. This has actually come from one of our Jewel Loom girls here that suggested, has anyone ever tried Soft Flex on the Jewel Loom? So I can't take credit for coming up with the idea, but I did make the project. So we are going to be using, let me go over the materials first here. We're going to be using some Soft Flex. This is 0.019. That's the diameter. This is a 30-foot roll. So your basic Soft Flex. Oh, Soft Flex Company is here. Hi, guys. So we're going to be using that. That's a very important element. Of course, we're going to be using our bead-along Wildfire. And we're going to be using some beautiful pyramid beads from jewelloom.com. And some beautiful 11O seed beads from jewelloom.com. We also have some artistic wire and 20 gauge that we're going to use to make our tassel. And the tassels on these ones, guys, I made with leather, but I'm going to be actually using hemp cord to make these ones because I'm actually out of this color leather. So I thought, let's play around with some hemp too while we have the chance. But as far as that, these pyramids, if I didn't mention it, guys, these are 6mm for this project that I'm using. Oh, good. Melanie has a lot of Soft Flex. That's always a good thing to have a lot of. And it does come in so many beautiful colors, guys. So the sky's the limit, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, good. Thank you so much, Amber, for doing that. So first, of course, we're going to start. Here, I'll show you the earrings, too, if you didn't see them in the picture for the broadcast, but there is what they look like. This is Thomas. Okay. Awesome. Hi, Thomas. So nice to see you here from Soft Flex. So we're going to start by warping our loom, and I have the original Jewel Loom here. That is what I'm using with my Soft Flex. I have not tried any of the wood looms yet, guys, so we'll see what comes from that. But for right now, I'm going to do it on the original loom. You could also use the baby loom. I like to use the original loom because I like to have enough of the Soft Flex that I can crimp it off easily and not be struggling for the cords, okay? And there's my friend Jeannie. Hi, Jeannie. You didn't even get to see, but I have your necklace on, one of your necklaces you made me on. You'll see at the end. So this is, of course, where I am and my belly and everything's done this way. And I'm just going to take the bottom of the loom and I'm going to put it into the belly, into my belly, my Buddha belly, and just give it a slight little flex. I'm going to put my bar in the bottom. I know you guys can't see this, so let me move it just a smidge. There we go. I'm going to put my bar in the bottom and I'm just going to give this loom just a little flex. Again, guys, I know I remind you every week, but the original Jewel Loom is flexible, not bendable, guys. So don't go too crazy out there. So then we're just going to take our roll of Soft Flex, open that up, and I'm going to leave it on the roll like we do with our hemp. And I'm just going to unroll a little bit of it. I'm going to turn my loom over And what's so awesome about soft flex is that you can tie it right onto your loom, guys. It's just perfect. So I go around twice, and I'm just going to make a double knot here on the back. It's basically the same as we do with our hemp. Okay, there's a good knot there, and then I'm going to come in and tie another one, trying to keep the tension on the knot that I have there, and pull. Okay, so it's on there. It's on there very well, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to turn the loom over, and I'm going to move this just a smidge. I'm going to lay that into one of our grooves on the end. And then I'm going to pull that across, keeping tension. And I'm going to lay that in approximately the same groove across the other side. Then I'm going to flip over slightly my loom, and I'm going to keep tension. You can see how I'm pulling there on the soft flex as I'm going around that knob, and I'm pulling that up. We're going to skip 3 spaces for our 6mm pyramid beads. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm just going to keep that tension going, pulling that across. And we're going to skip 1, 2, and 3 on this side, slightly turning it over, grabbing that knob, keeping the tension, coming back over the top, and leaving the 3 spaces again. Make sure 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. You know how my eyes are with the grooves sometimes, guys. So I'm keeping that tension. Again, guys, that's so important for our newbies. You want to make sure you are definitely keeping tension when you are warping your looms. 1, 2, 3. And we're just going to keep doing that until we get 3 across. So that's, if we have 3 across, we know we always have 1 more warp than we do beads. So if I want to do 3 warps, if I want to do 3 rows, then I'm going to have 4 warps. Okay, so we're on 3. So this will be our last one here, and I'm just again going to skip 3, just making sure 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. And again, keeping that tension, going across and skipping 3. Okay. And now I'm going to take that around the back and hook on that knob again, guys. All this time, I'm keeping my tension. Wind that around a couple times, 2 to 3 times. And then what I like to do is I take my finger, just like I do with my hemp, and I just press it down there on that piece that we have the tension on. Okay. And then I just take my clippers, my wire cutters, and snip off my soft flex. And now that we have this has the tension on it, we can take this other string that we have here and we can tie these 2 off. All right. Aw, thank you so much, soft flex, Thomas. We appreciate you. Thank you. And then we're just going to tie that, pull that tension nice and tight, and then give it another tie off. Nice and tight. Okay, so there we go. We have our 3 rows here and 4 warps because we're going to do 3 rows of beads. Okay, so now is the point where you're going to take your rod out. And when you go to take your rod out, you want to do basically backwards from what we did at the beginning. You want to push slightly into your belly and just give this a little flex and then lift your bar out. So now we have nice tension on our soft flex, and we'll be able to just put our wefts in perfectly. So guys, as I said, I'm using Wildfire. This is the color green. You can use whatever color combinations you like. I just thought it looked really nice with that particular soft flex. I have some pink soft flex and turquoise back here in my studio that you better bet I'm going to be making some loom pieces with that. Oh, Sarah's here now too. Hi, Sarah. Good. So then we're just going to take our Wildfire and we're going to tie it off on the left side as we always do. Okay. I always come up on the loom I always use this where the bar goes in. I always use this little dot, and I know that if I go slightly above it, that's going to give me enough room to groove with tying off my pieces, or in this case, crimping off my pieces. Okay, so I always just put it there, and then I do 2 knots and just tie that snug there. It doesn't have to be crazy tight, but just enough to hold it there. So then we're just going to, here are our little earrings. We'll lay those up here. I'm just going to start beading. It's that simple. I'm going to pick up our pyramid beads. Now, guys, when you're using pyramid beads, you always want to make sure that you are going in the same hole in each bead. Okay? So what I mean by that is you want to go in the first opening of this bead when you're doing it. I work from the bottom up. That makes more sense to me if I put it in the hole closest to me. If you're working from the top down, then you probably want to do the opposite hole. So I'm just going to put on our pyramids in that order because we have to go through the same hole, so then that way everything's going to be even. So I'm just putting on my 3 pyramid beads, and you see what I mean there? I want them all to be hanging just exactly the same. You have all descended on my video. You were using soft flex, blah, blah, blah. Yes, Sarah, we are. I am using soft flex tonight. This is totally a new thing, and it is completely awesome. I'm loving it. So I'm just going to do as always, guys. I'm going to feed my needle underneath my work. I have my beads on. I drop those down, and then I'm just going to pull that strand through there. I have 2 small pink tassels that are from JJB, and I had no clue what I was going to do with them. There you go. And then I'm just going to take my finger and I'm going to balance those beads, push them up through and balance them with my finger. Then I'm just going to take my needle and I'm going to go around this last warp. Make sure you're always outside of this last warp when you're looming. And then just run your needle through your beads, always making sure you can see the shiny needle between the beads, that it is over top of your warps. If you don't do it that way, guys, your beads will fall off. So we're just going to give that a nice tug. I'm going to move this drink I have here so we don't have any accidents. I'm just going to give that a nice pull through, and you can see our beads are now hooked in there. Okay. So now we're going to do the next hole in those pyramid beads. So we're going to sort of flip those down just a smidge so we can get our needle to go through these holes. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is kind of a thorn in my side doing this. I don't know why, especially on the last bead. For some reason, I always tend to struggle with it as I'm doing now. So I have just learned that if I turn it on its side like so, it goes in much easier for myself, and I don't have to struggle as much. Tricia's going to be the soft flex on Jewel Loom expert. I don't know about that, but I sure enjoyed coming up with this project. And the same thing, guys, outside of the right, or you're outside of your last warp. Okay, and again, we're going through the bead holes again, but we're going back through over top of the warps. All right, now we're going to do, as you can see here, we have 5 rows in our earring, and then we'll do our stitch on the outside. And I am also, guys, just a quick little teaser, we're going to be making our tassel tonight too. Hopefully we have enough time, so I don't want to gab too much. So, but there is a new tassel maker that Jules has come out with, and we're going to play with that a little bit. So the same thing, I'm picking up my beads in that first hole, so they're all hanging the same direction. Okay. And again, underneath, I usually hold my beads in my hand and hold my needle at the same time when I put them on. A lot of people will drop them clear down. That's your preference, guys, whatever works best for you. And then I just sort of run the string and the beads through my fingers underneath. And then I just again, I'm just taking my pyramid beads and using my index finger on my left hand and pushing those up through. I'm on the outside of this last warp with my string, and the same thing. We're going to go through the same hole, but over top of the warps now. So you go through each pyramid bead hole twice, but you have to lock them in correctly. Okay. So again, I'm just going to tip these down just a smidge. And for myself, I'm going to turn this on its side to be able to see a little better. I'm getting my needle through that second set of holes. And it will work for me if I just get everything straight. There we go. And the last one. Maybe it's just me, but that's always been a thorn in my side for some reason. So same thing, guys. We locked. Now we're almost completely have those the second line of pyramid beads completely locked in. So again, we're just on the outside, and we're going to take our needle and go across. This is a very simple earring. I think between the soft flex and the beads that I used, how it looks pretty high end, and especially with the leather tassel. But yeah, I mean, I think that the soft flex and also those beads elevated it just from being a simple pyramid project. So here I am again. I'm going to pick up 3 more beads. Love those pyramid beads. Antique brass, soft flex, and green thread is a nice combo. Thank you so much. I thought they worked perfectly together. And like I said, guys, this is only the beginning. The sky's the limit with the colors that soft flex has. So I have my turquoise and my pink, as I said, that I am just itching to make into something. It does, and it looks so complicated. No, it's not. But that's what we like. Those are the projects we like. They look complicated, but they're not really complicated. Oh, that final design, gorgeous. Thank you, Kristen. You're here too now. Oh, the whole gang's here. That's pretty awesome. But it is really very easy. Yes. Totally. Yes, for sure, guys. So we're just going to continue with this. We're going to do 5 rows before we start our stitch on the other side. Or on the outside, excuse me, our seed beads. And just again, I'm going to have to turn this. Hey, whatever works for you, right? Get that bead in there. We can't be coordinated on everything, I guess, right? The gang's all here tonight, guys. So see, I missed that last bead. So that shows you what will happen if you miss it. So I'll go back across and make sure I catch that last bead. You're just giving me a hard time. So there we go. We got it that time. All right. And through. And over the top. I felt like this was so awesome because the crimps, to me, when you do the crimps and then the crimp covers with the soft flex that you're able to use with it, it really gives it a finished look. You know, it just really looks nice and finished, you know. So I'm picking up a few more beads here to do our 4th row. Again, guys, you can do this on the baby loom if you don't want to waste your soft flex, which I never do. But if you want to make sure to have enough to tie off or to crimp off, you know, if you're like me, I always give myself a little bit of extra room. And that's why I like to do, I'll do 2 earrings on here and give myself enough room. That's plenty of room, but you know, play with it on your baby loom too and let me know. now I can use pyramids that we got in the box with the small wisdom warrior. Yes, see that, dear? You certainly can. What gauge is a soft flex? It is the 0.019, guys. Jewel Loom, the loom that is in the monthly subscription, how big is it? Could you make earrings on it? Which loom? The Wisdom Warrior? Is that the one you're talking about? If you are, the Wisdom Warrior and the original are pretty much the same size. Basically, the 12 inches.
It may be the new one we get in
this month's box. Yeah, that I don't know for size wise. I don't know if Amber could get that information for you, but
I'll look it up.
Thank you, dear. That's my girl. So again, turn on the side here, guys. You won't have to watch this painful action too much longer because we're going to get on to crimping pretty directly. All right. Yes, it's the medium diameter. Yes, it sure is. Oh, for Pete's sakes. This is why I don't use triangles or tiles much, or pyramids or tiles much on my lives, because, you know. All right, so there we go with that. And across, and we're going to do our last row. We're going to get a lot in tonight, guys, so I'm trying to sort of do it as quickly as possible. I know I look slow, but this is, believe me, this is fast for me. So we're putting in our last row. And on to next. It's always that last one. There we go. We are through all of them. And then we're going to lock in our last row here. So next, what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to start our loops on the outside. And these are very simple as well. I'm just going to leave my needle coming out of right where it is, and I'm just going to start right from there. So let me get this in the camera. These are just 11 O's. These are Tohos at jewelloom.com. And I'm just going to pour some of these out. And I'm doing 7 beads per loop. Okay. You can do your loops at whatever size you like. If you want them smaller, maybe go 5 or 3. If you want them bigger. I do like to do odd numbers only because it's more pleasant to the eye. But that's me personally. Okay, so here we are coming out of our last row. And I'm going to pick up 7 seed beads, 11 O's. Okay, so Amber has answered your question there. The new mini loom for August box is the same size as the baby Jewel Loom, 6 inches by 3 inches. Thank you so much, Amber. Okay, so I put my seed beads on, and I'm just going to drop those down. Oh, thank you. Sheila's my blue bracelet. Yeah, this was just like a little... I had some extra pyramids from Jules, so I just made another bracelet. So what we're going to do then, guys, is we're going to go into the second hole of the same pyramid bead, and we're going to go across the whole way, and we're going to pull our Wildfire through there, and that's going to give us our loop. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. 7 beads again. Okay, what do we got? 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me double check. 2, 6. We need one more. And then I'm dropping those down, and now we're on the right side of the loom, which we normally aren't when we're starting to stitch. But we're going to do it this way because then we can do each section of loops at the same time. So the same thing, we're just going to go in, instead of going in the bottom hole, we're coming out of the bottom hole. So we're going to go through the top hole of the pyramid beads. If you feel like it's tightening up on you, most of the time the Jewel Loom needle is fine. It'll go through no problems. But if you do feel like it's tightening up on you, if you're having any trouble, you could just maybe go to like a size 10 or 11 seed bead needle. Okay, it's our little loops. So now we have to work our way down so we can get to our next row. So what we're going to do again, and this is what I mean if it gets tight on you, I'm going to take this that's coming out of that top hole there, and I'm going to put it through the second hole of the pyramid bead again. And I'm going to run that through. And that's what I like about this green Wildfire. It blends in with pretty much everything. It's just really neat how that works. So now we've gone through there again, and that's nice and sung now as I've taken it through that. And then we're going to go down into the first hole of the next set of pyramid beads and run our needle across. Okay, we're just working our way down because we always want to make sure that our loops are in the holes of the row that you're working on. If I was going to take that string of Wildfire out of there and go right into my pyramid bead with seed beads on it, it wouldn't look right. It would be like another like half loop squished in there. So always make sure you're on your existing row. So now we're going to add 7 more seed beads. This is always the fun part for my eyes, and these blend in really nice to the mat too. Oh, who is Facebook user? Is that Suzanne maybe? Thank you for the compliment on the earrings, if whoever you are. So there's 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now we're going to go into the bottom hole on the pyramid bead and go across the bottom. All right. Oh, thank you, Kristen. Aw, Grant. You guys are so sweet. You're making me blush. Well, I really don't blush, but you're making me feel like if I did blush, I would blush. Oh, I'm not right. You'll learn that quickly, Kristen. How can you be right and be a jewelry designer, right? So there's 5, 6, 7 again. And the same thing. Are you guys able to see this good enough, or do you want me to lower down? Oh, hi, Jules. The camera down for you a little bit. Let me know if you'd like to see a little bit of a closer view of this. Okay. So we pull that through. And then we're coming out of this top row of this second row of pyramid beads, the top hole. So we have to go back through the second hole of that bead to be able to get ourselves righted into the row we want to be. Okay. Lower, please. Okay, sure. Don't get seasick, guys. I'm going to lower you down just a smidge here and try to be very gentle with it. How's that? Hopefully that helps. So we're working our way across. And I'm going into that second set of holes on those pyramid beads and putting my needle out through. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate the love so much. So now I'm coming out that second hole. So we're going to go into the top hole and across of the next row. We're in the third row down now. All right. So we're here. There we go. And we're going to pick up 7 more beads. I'm going to get some more out here. Whoop. And we're moving around. I guess because I came in closer. Hi, Maria. Hi, honey. So glad you're here to join with us tonight. And now we're in our perfect spot. So we're going to pick up 7 more beads. 5, 6, 7. Okay, into the second hole. Okay, and then we're coming out the bottom, so we're going to need to go into the top of that same row. So we're going to pick up 7 seed beads before we do that. Okay, so I'm over here doing that, even though you can't see because of the closeness of the camera. But did I lose them? I did. Okay, so let's pick up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right. Ooh, getting wild here, guys. So once you drop those down, you're going to go in through the top hole of the pyramid bead. And don't stitch through your seed beads on the side when you're coming out through. Make sure you're lifting these loops so you're not going back through those seed beads. Okay. All right. So we're coming out. We made our loop on the right side. We're coming out the top hole of the existing row we just finished. So what does that mean? That means that we have to cross over through the bottom hole to get down to our 4th row. And it can get a little tricky, but if you just go slow and just work your needle across, we're picking up. Girlfriend, you're so funny, Vicky. You keep me on my toes. And then we're going in to the 1st row, or the 4th row on the 1st bead hole of your pyramid. And now we're coming out on the left again. We're going to do it again. This is our next to last row, so we're going to pick up 7 more. How are we doing on time? This one might run over a smidge. I don't know, guys. It's a lot to show you.
You're doing great on time.
6. Thank you. Thanks, Amber. It's so nice to hear you chime in every now and then. My girl. And then in through the 2nd row. Yes, Joan's on vacation, guys. Let's add on 7 more seed beads to our needle. These are 11 O's, as I stated, just for anyone that's coming in later. 6 millimeter pyramids and 11 O seed beads. So that is 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to go through and go across that top hole. Okay. All right. And then we're just going to work our way back across into that 2nd hole and go across so we can get to our last row. Okay. And don't go through your seed beads. Lift your loops, just like so. Sorry, my hand's in the way when I'm lifting those loops, but you get the idea. There we go. And we're almost done with that. So now we're going to drop down to our last row. Oh, everybody's excited if we need extra time. Okay, good. You're here for the long haul, I guess, right? Thanks, guys. So in through that top hole of that last set of beads. And again, 7 more seed beads. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And Wayne's made it. Hi, Wayne. Okay, and we're going to go through that last hole, that bottom hole of the last row. If I can get my needle to go through here. All right, and it's through. And there's our second to last loop, and we're coming out the bottom and pick up 7 more beads so we can make our last loop. 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now you guys are with me, right? You're with me so far. Everybody's doing great. Understanding. Got the concept. Before we move on to removing it from the loom and adding on the crimps. So now I'm just going to tie this off, guys. Now, there's 100 ways you can do this, 1,000 ways you could do this, but it's total your preference. I have no problem with a teeny tiny wildfire knot being under here. Nobody's going to see it. Maria's with me. Thanks, Maria. Nobody's going to see it. That's my thought on my first tie off. So, but if you want to put your needle back on and run it back through and tie it off in the middle, so be it, guys. You do you. Okay, so I'm just going to snug that down. And it's hidden behind the seed bead anyway. So on that knot, that doesn't bother me at all. I'm just going to turn on the side here, and I'm just going to make sure that's nice and snug. And I'm going to take my thread zapper, or if you have cord cutters or whatever, the wildfire cutters, and just go in and heat this up and then zap that right off. Just make a little ball on the end. I like to do that so it holds it nice. Brenda's with me. Good, good. So our one that is our thread that's sticking out that we used to sew with our needle. What you can do, guys, and I'll show you so you can go back through row if you want to be able to tie off in the middle. So I'm just going to hop up 1 row again, and I'm going to go through that bead. Okay, that first bead on the bottom.
Can you move a little more centered? You're kind of at the top of the frame, honey. So yeah, there you go.
Okay, good. Sure. So, and I'm just going to come across, I'm going to come out of this bead. Yeah, I get to beading and then I'm like all over the place, you know. Yeah, you can just shove it in the seed bead too. No one will know the difference. So I'm coming back through that, and I'm going to have my thread now between these 2 beads. You guys can see. I know it's hard with the colors and the lighting and stuff, but it's coming out between these 2 beads right here. Okay. And then all we're going to do is take our needle and go under the soft flex and then back up and not grab your loop with your thread, and then pull that and go through your loop like you do when you're finishing, when you're just sewing a project, even just with material. And you're going to snug that knot down and you're going to bring it in between those 2 pyramid beads. And I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure. Must always be centered. Yes, I guess so, Vicky. All right, so I pulled 2 knots there. And what I like to do, guys, is I just feed my needle back down beside the soft flex there and pull it down, and then give a little snug pull there, and it drops that needle behind, or that, it drops that knot behind the earring there. Okay? You can't even see any of it. So 2 different ways you can roll there. Depends on my mood, but that's a good way to tie off. So now I'm not going to make another earring because I want to get to a couple more things. So I will just have to make sure I use the rest of my soft flex for some good things. So I'm going to raise this back up. Sorry. I don't want to make anybody seasick, but I want you to be able to see. So it's as simple as just cutting the ends of your soft flex. And you want to make sure when you're cutting anything off your loom that you're supporting your work with your 2 fingers here, like so. And then I hold my loom with my thumb. I have this end pushed into my belly, if you want to see that. Okay. And I'm just going to flex it slightly. And I'm still holding my work with my front 2 fingers, and I'm holding my loom with my index and my thumb. And I'm just going to start snipping the soft flex. These are very old clippers, so I might just grab my other ones. Yes, let's. There's better ones. And you're just going to snip that. And you see how it like wants to bounce back on you. That's totally normal because we wanted that tension on when we were creating. Okay. And the same thing here. I'm just going to snip off my soft flex. It makes it so lovely. And now we're going to get our crimps out, guys. So what I've learned with making this project is that the size 2 crimp tubes, which is what my favorite is. These ones are from Beading, but they work good. You have to struggle just a slight bit to get a third strand through them, but you can do it. And you'll understand that more in a minute. Okay, so I'm bring our little mat over here, and I'm just going to dump out a few crimp tubes, number 2 crimp tubes. There you go. Vicki threads it right back through. So there's tons of ways to do your finish with your knots. So first thing I like to do is I want to take 2 of my pieces of soft flex sticking out from the top, and I want to cut them about the same length. We're going to be cutting more off, but for right now, it'll make my life easier when I'm putting the crimp tube on. So I'm going to take 2 strands, and I'm going to run this 2 strands up through the crimp tube, and then I'm going to drop that down. Okay, and you can see, well, I don't know how well you can see it, but there's room between each. I left some breathing space, basically, is what I'm trying to tell you. So you're going to want to leave a little bit of breathing room there because you don't want your earring to warp, to get like a funny shape and pull up on itself. So we're just going to drop that down, and I'm just going to take my crimp pliers. You can use silver beading wire if you don't have soft flex. You probably could. I don't see why not, but why don't you have any soft flex? No, I'm just kidding you. But yes, I'm sure you could use that. So I'm just going to drop this down where it was, and I'm going to move this up further here for you to see and just give that a crimp. Like we normally would crimp our soft flex, okay? So I gave that a good crimp. You can see. And then I like to just go in and fold the crimp in half. It just compacts it down a little bit and then makes the crimp cover go over it. So you can see that's what we have so far. Now keep in mind, guys, this you can still kind of move around a little bit because you have these 2 threads down here on the bottom. So when you go to finish off the bottom the same way, just you can get things better aligned at the time. So same thing here. We're pretty good for length. So I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to cut that just a little bit because it's kind of rough on that end. Yes, well, you will like it if you are able to get it, Sabrina. When I was first beading, I used to use whatever I could get my hands on. And then as I've grown as a beader, I've learned that if you're going to do strung pieces or anything like that, that the soft flex just gives it a completely different appearance. It just hangs differently. That's just my opinion, but one person. So I'm doing the same thing here, guys. I'm moving my crimp down. And I'm just going to pick that up and use my crimpers. And I want them about in the same place, but like I said, you can adjust them. Okay. And then just give that a crimp. And what I'm trying to do when I'm doing that, guys, I'm trying to keep everything as even as possible. Okay. And then I'm just going to give it a squeeze to fold it in half. So there are 2 of our crimps done. So now that we have those in place, what I do is I cut off These are crimp. These are good to go. So I can trim off 2 of these wires. And I'm just going to hold down on that and cut that as close to the crimp as I can get it. Okay, and now we have 1 wire sticking out. Again, this was something that used to scare me, but you know, if you have a good product, you are biased, Sarah. But if you have a good product, your crimp's going to hold onto that. Okay. So now what we're going to do, I'm losing my voice. I'm talking too much. Now what we're going to do, guys, is even off these 2 strands. And we're going to put another crimp tube on. I'm not using the magic crimpers, although I'd really like to try them. These are actually the On Terra crimpers that I have here. So I'm going to put that crimp down on those 2 strands, just so things are kind of nice and even. I don't want to pull anything too far up there. And then once we have those 2 strands in, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. You're just going to take one of those strands and you're going to feed it back through that crimp. Because here what I did, and you don't have to do that, you can do two crimps. But if you want it to look really nice, like it does on the bottom here with just the 3, this is what you'll have to do, okay? So I'm just going to feed that through. And I said, it gives you a little bit of a fit sometimes, but if you don't want to have trouble, maybe go up to like a 3 crimp tube or something. But it's going through. It's going through just fine.
Hey friends, so Jules is joined in on StreamYard. Would you like me to add her to the video?
That's up to Jules if she wants up or not. That's her choice. I'm happy. I'm happy if she comes and joins me. You know that yet. She my girl. So I'm just going to make a tiny loop here at the top because I don't want it to be too overbearing when I put my earring hook through that. Okay. So I'm just working that down with those 3 loops in there. And again, I'm just trying to keep this as even as possible. We really have to be careful on our bottom because then we're kind of finishing off everything and doing that final shape of the piece. Okay. So I'm going to get that as even as I can. And then just give it a little crimp. I want that loop just a smidge smaller. And give that a crimp. All right. So now that that's crimped, it's giving me a little bit of a headache there, but we'll leave it at that. And then we're just going to trim off those cords. Okay. Crimped. We're ready to roll on the top. Now we're going to go through the same process on the bottom. All right, so you see what shape we have there, guys. And again, we're going to even this all out as we go down here. Keep everything centered, you know, just really get a nice visual on that. Okay, so same thing on the bottom. We're going to cut these strands, these 2 strands that are on the end here on this left side together. Okay. And I'm going to cut some of this off, although I'll probably be using all this leftover soft flex on earrings. More earrings, I'm sure. And then I'm just putting my crimp on. All right, and as I'm working this up, guys, keep in mind, these are all connected. So we want to get a nice look. We want it to look nice and even. Everything sort of looks like it was meant to be there, like that. I'm looking at the top because this is going to matter on how your top looks, how you pull these strands on the bottom. Okay, so just going to give that a crimp. When I get it in place. All right. And then fold that over. Yes, the leftovers do make wonderful earrings. Okay. So we have that one crimped, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We'll go over quickly. I'll put one of the crimp covers on for you guys, but I really want to get to this tassel. So I'll show you that after we get this last crimp on. There's 2 more crimps, but because like I said, I really want to get to this tassel maker. It's adorable. All right, same thing, cutting them the same length, put my tube on. It's so cool how we can use crimps with the Jewel Loom now. Hi, honey.
Okay, I'm totally tripping out.
Why are you tripping out?
Because you're doing things that have never been done
Really?
with the Jewel Loom, and I'm just sitting here like freaking my freak out in happiness. I mean, seriously, it's pretty stinking cool. And hello, Softflex team.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, guys.
I'm beyond grateful that you are here. Truly.
Yes.
It's extremely exciting, Sarah. We'll have to chat. But these are so sassy, and my mind now is like just
swirling.
No, I'm like seriously sitting here vibrating in my seat. Like I'm so tripping out. I'm just thinking of like, because there's some things coming up with some projects, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So
It opens a whole new world, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Mama needs some Softflex.
Get some of those pretty colors.
Yeah, I'm tripping out, man.
What's going on there?
So awesome.
Jules, I think you need to mute something.
Oh, I gotta mute something?
You're echoing, Amber, but Jules isn't.
Oh.
I don't know why.
Okay, I think I know why. Hold on.
So I'm going to go back to the main screen here. So there we go. So you guys can see what's happening. And then we're going to put this
work? Will this work on the wood looms? Will Softflex work on the wood
I
looms?
don't see why not, because it has this great covering over it, the outside of
Really?
it's soft. So there's no reason.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, any Softflex would work, Nicole. Yeah, it would all,
Let me
it
see
would
if
all work
this
fine.
helps.
Just your preference.
Does that help?
Yes, that does help. Yes, thank you. You were echoing there. I at the end there. So as I'm pulling this, I want to show you guys something. When I'm pulling on this, watch what happens when I pull too hard. You see that shape? You don't want that. So when you're putting your last crimp on, don't put too much tension. Just put it in a comfortable spot. And then take your one of your strands there and run it back through your crimp. So you can make a little loopy on the bottom. Okay. Just running that back through. All right. And again, not tensioning up too much, getting everything as even as I can. And we don't want to leave a gargantuan loop on the end. It's a little snug because that's making my earring kind of pucker. So we'll move that down a little bit. That's just a little bit of, just like when you're crimping a necklace, guys. It takes a little bit of doing to get everything where you want it, and with the proper tension on your beads, everything. Okay. I just want to center this. Make my loop a little smaller. And then crimp my crimp. All right. Yeah, the 0.019 Sarah says has the most colors, guys. So that's good to know. It has my beautiful pink and turquoise. So then we're just going to trim this. Now, you could use anything to dangle off the bottom of your earring. Of course, beads, charms, tassels, whatever makes your heart sing. But I do want to show you guys these because this would be an absolutely adorable addition to any earring, but especially this one. We have so many wood charms that Jules has graciously made for everyone. And just look at these beauties. I mean, you could color them and just make them so gorgeous. They're just perfect the way they are. They're beautiful the way they are. But you could add a little heart on the bottom. You could do any of those things. These are just so cute. Look at the flowers. I'm just trying to flip these over so you can see them, guys. But look how cute these are. We even had some for St. Patty's Day. If you know someone that's Irish, this would be a great gift for them. Make them a pair of Irish earrings. We have little rainbows, this beautiful cross. So the sky's the limit, guys. And you know how fun it is to paint your wood pieces. So that is also an option. So just quickly, I need to grab my washi tape because I don't think I had any over here. Just 1 second.
Tricia muted me. Amber muted me. Tricia, I can't even with these earrings. I need them.
Well, good. I'm glad you like them.
Yeah, I totally. And you know what? When we see each other, so I'm coming to Bead Fest, you all. I don't know if anybody's going to be there and that's watching, but I booked my ticket and I'm coming to Bead Fest. So.
Okay, here's my washi. I only have like 500 rolls of washi and I can't find them when I want them, you know. That's how that goes. So I made these tassels on these earrings with leather and just some 20 gauge wire. Okay, so if you want to use leather, go for it. Tonight we're going to play around with a little bit of hemp because why not? right. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to cut myself a little piece of string first that I want to keep to the side. Then what I found that works best for me is I take a little bit of washi tape. You could probably even use masking tape or scotch tape, whatever you have there. But washi is nice because you can remove it and it won't do any damage to your wood piece. Okay, we don't want damage. So I'm just going to take the end of this hemp and I'm going to lay it down the back of the Tassel Maker and just washi tape that right on, and I'm going to try to center it so it doesn't get in my way too much. Okay, so now that's on there, and all you have to do at this point, guys, is decide how thick do I want my tassel. So we're just going to wrap until we're happy, okay, with the size of the tassel, and it's just right next to each other. You're not piling them on. You could, if you want a very, very full tassel, you could just go till the cows come home. Okay, that's your choice. But we have a small earring here, so we'll try to be somewhat reasonable. Because we all know that's hard for me. Painter's tape is nice too. Yes, that is very true, Maria. All right, so I'm just doing a few wraps. Okay, and just that simple. So what then I do is I bring it around the back here in about the same spot, and I cut that off, and I take myself another tiny piece of washi. This is just my technique, whatever works for you guys, but I like my little washi. So then I have all of my strands wrapped around there. So I'm going to go in with my string I already cut. You can do this with the wire right out of the gate if you want, but I add my wire after, okay? And I'm just lifting up all of those little wraps that we made, and I'm sliding one of my pieces of hemp underneath there in the center, and I'm going to tie a knot. Just to keep all of my stuff together as I wire wrap it and work on it. Okay. I'm just going to do 2 knots. Oh, that's wonderful, Sarah. They have the handmade Tassel Maker challenge. So I'm just going to take my washi tape off, pull that out, and you can see how easily that came off. And then I'm just going to snip this right in the middle, guys. These make gorgeous lengths of tassels. You can cut them down as I did for the earrings. And I'm just making sure I'm getting all my strands there, where you can leave them beautifully long too. So here's our hemp. This doesn't look like much right now, but guess what? We're going to shape that just down like so. And we're just going to kind of force it to go into the shape that we want. Another tip, guys, if you have hemp that, you know, is kind of won't straighten just by your warmth of your hand or the oils in your hand, you can use a steamer. just put a little bit of steam on them. Right there you go. So now I'm just going to take a little piece of 20 gauge wire, not too small. This, I'm probably going to cut myself about 12 inches. Who are we trying to kid here? So, so I cut the 12 inches, and I'm just warming that wire up, guys. You can see, okay, I hope so. And I'm going to go about 2 or 3 inches down from the top of my wire there, and I'm going to get out my favorite pliers, because when I work with wire, I have certain babies I like to use. So we're going to take our little tweezer plier in here, and we're going to wrap, or excuse me, make a horizontal bend. We're going to put in our round nose pliers, and we're going to make the loop just as big as we want by just determining on our plier where we want to put this wire. So I'm going to go about a third of the way in there. Okay. Then I'm going to go up and over for a wrap loop and then go crossed. We're not going to wrap just yet though, guys, because I want to use this opportunity to attach my my wire to my hemp. So I'm just going to cut these strands short of these hems, of the hemp that I tied off with. And I'm going to open this loop. Now, you want to make sure, of course, that your loop's big enough to go around the product that you've chosen. So if you're using leather, you're probably going to want to make a bigger loop. But I think this will work fine with our hemp. Hopefully it will anyway. And I'm just working that down in between that loop that we made. If you need to open up a little bit more, you always can. And now your tassel is on your wire. And what we're going to do now is just do a wrap loop. We're just going to finish that by grabbing that wire with our tool and wrapping around a few times just to get a secure spot. Okay, so now everything's hooked, and it looks looking good, but we still have some more work here. So we're going to trim off this extra piece of wire on the side here, and I'm just going to push that end in because we don't want it scratching anybody. And then we're going to go up here above this wrap, and we're going to do another horizontal bend. And we're going to grab that with our round nose pliers just the same way. And we're going to go up and over. And we're going to rotate our pliers and then across. Okay. So now we're going to start our wrap loop. We don't need to hook it into anything. We don't need to open it up. We can just grab our loop with our pliers and begin to wrap our way down. Okay. Just wrapping down, piling our loops on top of each other as we go down. Right. Get out the camera there. And as I'm going, I'm just working my way down around that original loop that we made. Okay. Just working. Making sure I'm getting them next to each other as I go. Again, next to each other. And see how I'm working down there? And it's starting to form a bead cap. You're making your own bead cap by working down the wire, like so. All right. So we don't want it too awful long because we're putting it on a little earring. We're going to have to snip off, some of this anyway. If you want to make it even longer, if you want to use the full length of the tassel, make it even longer, you certainly can. And then all you're going to want to make sure and do, guys, is just cut your wire there and tuck it in, as we always do. Make sure. And then we're going to trim our tassel to the size we want it. Just as simple as that. So I'm just going to look here and say, well, for my earring that I made, that is buried now. There it is. I think I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make a little bit longer of one. Excuse me. And I'm just going to trim those ends and try not to brutalize them too bad since I didn't bring my scissors over. All right. Just working across and trimming it. Now, Jules, I do believe these tassel makers are in the shop, correct? Or in jewelloom.com?
So the Tassel Maker is a part of the September workshop kit. So people who are in that will get that. They won't have to buy it.
Oh,
Have to buy the kit. But between now and then, yes, I'm putting them in the shop. They didn't make it.
Okay, awesome. I wasn't sure about that, so I didn't want to.
Yeah,
So-
I'm trying to get some details.
Okay, cool.
But
So-
I'm still on the soft. I'm over here on the soft flex, like trying to yeah. I'm
So I'm just going to take a
I'm
little
so
jump ring here, guys. Hook it into my tassel and then hook it through my soft flex. And then close my jump ring. And it's as simple as that.
I'm sorry. Sarah just made a comment that she thinks you could make tassels with the soft flex, and I was just sitting here like,
oh my gosh, I bet you could.
yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry.
So guys, then you're going to want to put your crimp covers over. If you're like me and you like those, I can show you how to do one here, and then we'll get signed off because we're running over. Use a hair straightener on your tassels. That's also a great option. So let's put our wire on, like so. And then we'll do one crimp cover. I used to loathe doing crimp covers, and then my friend Jeannie showed me how to do it correctly, and she uses them all the time, and I'm like, how can you get those to not look like they're warped? That was like my problem all the time. They always looked warped. So we're just going to take one of these, and I'll show you the way I do it in case there's someone here that hasn't used a crimp cover, which is a possibility. So I do like these crimpers for that, but I'm sure there are plenty of others out there that would work perfectly fine for this. So I just take it in my pliers like so. It's a little C shape, and I didn't attach my ear wire very well there. And I just work it around. I'm holding it snug with my pliers, and I'm just working it around that crimp by moving it back and forth. Okay, so now it's around the crimp. And I'm just going to slowly start closing this, and I'm going to work my way around it. That's the trick on doing a nice crimp cover, is not going full force when you first do it. You just have to sort of work it from all the sides and just slowly crimp it in there so it ends up looking like a bead versus a terrible C-shaped thing that no one recognizes. So we'll just put that there. And just like I said, guys, I'm just working slowly around it. I want to give it a nice shape. Just like so. All right, that's not perfect, but you get the idea on that. It just looks like a nice little bead to finish. And you can do that over all of your crimps that you did on these pieces. So it looks really nice and finished. So I'm going to turn my camera back up here because that is the end of our lesson for today. Let me close this so I don't make you seasick. Thanks, Jules. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Seriously, girlfriend.
Well, as I said, I don't want to take the credit for the idea.
Oh, there you go.
The soft flex idea was suggested by one of our girls.
Yeah.
But I sort of ran with it. So
I'm speechless. Like I'm not, that's not my MO, right? I usually have something to say. So I'm just totally tripping out. I cannot believe, like just my mind is racing with ideas. So I can't wait to get a hold of some personally so that I can play with it. But such a beautiful design, and
thank you.
Gosh, just everything. It's just like I feel like I can't find my words, because as an artist, innovator, designer right now, it's like things are like this. I've just seen it's like soft flex, right? And then like I just feel it, I see it. I don't know what it's all going to look like, but I'm just totally excited.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like, stinking wow.
Well, I'm glad everybody likes it. Good.
Yeah, no, everyone's super stoked. Listen to this. They love the earrings.
Thanks
And
so
I
much,
got my
guys.
soft flex on my loom now.
Good girl, Robin.
Yeah,
So-
what a great thing. Thank
This
you for
is-
birthing that. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I enjoy every minute of it.
Look
And
at
it
them.
does-
They're so cute. I
Does
love them.
I
They're
love
sassy.
the little hemp tassel too.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
that's with the leather.
Yeah.
Oops, camera is there.
Yeah, the leather, I think I like the texture of the leather with the
Mhm.
pyramids. I think it kind of balances.
It does.
Yeah, it's a
I
little
just ran
more.
out of that.
It's
so-
high. It's like high end. It like makes it
Yes.
all come together.
Yes,
Um,
agreed.
Yeah, but I'm super stoked to try the Tassel Maker with the soft flex to see.
You know I'm doing that
I
as soon
know.
as we hang up here, right?
What's that?
You
I
know
know.
I'm doing that as soon as
I
we
know.
hang up here.
I know. Well, you're lucky you have some soft flex. I might have to run into town.
Yes,
I might
I've been
have to
very
leave
blessed.
the coziness of my home and go amongst other humans.
Well, thank you, Wayne. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
And-
thank you, Softflex. Thank you, Kristen,
Yes.
and everyone is so great. And I will get busy. I'm just trying to figure out the deets right now on adding the little jewel loom.
I just wanted to give a little sneak peek on
I
that.
know.
And don't forget about the wooden charms, guys. They are
Yeah.
so cute.
Yeah,
You got to get some and use them as dangles on your earrings. They'll just make them one of a kind.
they're so adorable. There's so many really cool things to do. So,
Mhm.
aw.
So that's it, guys. I
Yeah.
guess we're ready
Okay.
to
What else
sign
is
off.
coming up though? If you are going to Bead Fest, let me know because I just. Okay, so I haven't like done the formal announcement or anything yet, but I just was informed that I am one of the top 5 innovators in the industry. Okay, so Interweave did this big thing. Holy cow.
So awesome.
I'm so honored and stoked. And they're like, well, we'd love for you to come in. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm in California. That's in a couple of weeks. I'm going to figure out how to make this happen. So I have my plane tickets. I get into Philly on the 17th. I'm going to hop over to Lancaster and I will be there the 18th and the 19th. And I'm demoing. And Tricia's going to be there and we're going to have more fun than humans are allowed to have.
And
So-
you believe it or not, guys, we've never met in person.
Which is so weird. I know.
We're so
that's
close,
weird.
but yet-
I know. I know. So if you see 2 crazy women like all over each other crying and
It'll be us.
that'll be us.
Yeah, if you guys are
Anyway.
going to be heading to Bead Fest, please let us know. Send us a message
Yeah.
and we'll meet up. Or if you'd like to. Or,
Yeah. And I have a really cool stinking giveaway while I'm there. We just made, and you girls, I don't even think, no, it just happened last night. So it's so precious. And it's a little giveaway that I'm going to have with me to pass out while I'm doing the demos and
Oh,
stuffed in my
nice.
pockets. And maybe I'll give Tricia some to stuff in her pockets.
I can take that.
Okay. Anyway, Softflex, thank you. I'm so honored that you would show up to watch this and to support Jewel
Yes.
Loom and Tricia and
It's an
Amber
honor.
and Joan and myself. I mean, just completely over the moon, honored and grateful, like times a bazillion. So, I don't know if you will be at Bead Fest, but if you are,
Sorry.
the crazy blonde hugging on you is me.
Aw.
So,
Aw.
anyway,
Thank you so
okay.
much, guys.
Okay.
We'll see you next week. Next
Yeah.
week is a sari silk, romantic sari silk bracelet
Ooh, nice.
that we're going to sew on some check glass.
Oh, I love it. Oh my
Yes.
god, you're so awesome.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Okay.